All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the famous Dwayne's podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne. With me are two very special guests, Miss Ajaya Divine.
Hold on. Yes. I mean, go ahead. My bad. I was trying to get it on Instagram. I was trying to share something. Now you got me looking down on the camera.
You started while I was pouring myself a drink and shit. I was like, oh, damn, we started.
Damn, you trying to be candid for real.
Yeah.
Look, you got to stay ready, so you got to get ready.
I'm always ready. I was born ready.
So we got Miss Ajaya Divine, as well as longtime friend of the show, Mr. Braxton.
What's up, y'all? Even though, I'm on Kia's thing, but yeah, what's up, y'all? What's going on?
So, don't mind the sunken place / Kevin Samuel sweater, but what we're talking about here is simp culture and how it is ruining the Black community.
Do we have a definition of simp culture?
I actually wanted to get into that. Anyone kind of want to give their definition? I think Braxton, I think you got something. You seem triggered.
I mean, I feel like a simp is just a guy who he pretty much knows anything that girls want to hear, and without actually believing in those things, and that not really being a thing at a heart, he weaponizes that against them so he can get what he wants from them. He uses it as a manipulation tool so he can get attention, physical interaction, whatever. So it's just a guy who, manipulates women's feelings against themselves by acting like he agrees with them.
So more or less like a Trojan horse.
Exactly. That's exactly.
In more ways than one, if you think about it. But anyway, Ajaya, to your understanding, what is your definition of a simp, or what have you come to understand a simp as?
So I have come to understand a simp as somebody, it could be male or female, but we can focus on male. Somebody who changes who they are, how they act, or changes anything about them to manipulate other people or to try to get things or get clout. Anybody that's pretty much like just trying to do something or say something to try to swindle somebody out of something or to try to get acceptance or power, fame, whatever. I think that's pretty much simping. Anytime you betray who you are to get some kind of external reward, I call that pretty simple.
Ajay, would you like say it's the same thing as like pandering?
Exactly. That's what it is. Like you're just doing whatever it is that you feel like it's gonna get you what you want, or and it doesn't even have to be sex. It could just be admiration. You know what I mean? Right, just following the crowd because you're trying to like get ahead of the wave so you can, whatever, however you lose it. It's manipulation at the end of the day.
Most definitely. I definitely think that a simp is just someone that panders for the punani, as well as someone that is more or less, I think perfect definition of a simp is a male version of what they consider a pick-me, as far as saying everything that women like, trying to cater to women, not even just one woman, but just women in general, the concept of women, trying to be all things to all women, and that's not who they really are. While also slandering other men, it's almost as if they want all the women to themselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
I think there's a very important kind of simp that doesn't fit this category of where we're going. And it's the one that is actually simple-minded and believes everything that women tell them, or you know what I mean, like, or believe that they are the only one, or believe that these women care about them when they don't. That is also leads to someone being a simp, because they will hop to the defense and do all these things for a version in their head that they have created of a woman
Right.
or whatever. And, you know, that is also, you know what I mean? Like going without to get a woman something that has actually show any real interest in you. You know what I mean? A little attention. That is also simping because you're still betraying, you know what I mean? Like what's best for you for something else, but it's not that slimy, manipulating
right
energy. Still same thing, just a different energy. So, you know, because I think males will tend to use it a lot when they're talking about men that are just like gullible too, I guess is a word for it. Like
a sucker.
Suck. Yeah, I probably would say sucker, honest. Which, you know, so what, this is why. So when I think of like a simp, obviously the first person that pops in my head is this guy named Derek Jackson. It was this other guy who was like on Twitter, and it was a few of them obviously, but you know, they used to always say, "Aren't you that guy?" Because he, anyway. But like those are the types of people. So like what I notice very often, this is like a central thing with these simps, the type of simps I'm talking about, male simps that, you know, act like they agree with everything a woman says so they can, you know, achieve some whatever end. Right? One thing I noticed about them is that, you know, when it comes to the conversation of male improvement, right? It's much more profitable and it's much more popular to frame the conversation of male improvement, you know, in its like proximity to female victimhood, right? So they have to play to that crowd as much as possible. And in other words, like be sycophantic, right? And in order for them to do that, they have to say, well, men, you need to, you know, improve because you ain't shit. And then the whole conversation becomes to be about how trash men are, right? And so what it says to those women that they're caping for is I'm the good one. All the other ones, you know, they're the bad ones, stay away from them. And I think that what's a much more thankless stance is to really actually focus on improving the male as best as possible without having to publicly chastise them, humiliate them, and put them down and make yourself separate from them. I think was really the more thankless thing to do. And I think the more noble and ultimately more productive thing is to, you know, when you're talking about how men interact with women, if you're really trying to make a difference, you're going to work on directly engaging the brothers and trying to improve them in whatever character ways possible. But you don't really take that approach. You kind of take a different approach where, you know, you choose instead to shame him. And that's looked upon as holding men accountable, you know, which just so happens to just only cater to the most battered and emotionally traumatized women who are, you know, wanting to hear something like that, you know, kind of long-winded, but.
I mean, just to sum it up, it's just basically a fire and brimstone preacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like my son's father actually posted something after all that happened that said, well, he said that it's not like be wary of any man that sits up and talks about women all day. Like that he I think he actually said simp, that it was like we can see like right through you, like that's you a simp. And I was like, you know what? That is true. Like when you start looking at a lot of these men they talk about women and women's role and everything a lot. Like, and he was like, it's supposed to be the older women who are supposed to tell these women they ain't worth shit and they need to get their shit together. Like, it's not supposed to be a male. It's supposed to be the older women who get with the younger women like, hey, get it together. Like, it's not supposed to be a man. And I was like, damn. That's weird.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. What was your thoughts of Derek Jackson, like, I don't know, before all this happened, you know, leading up to this point? What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, honestly, I had only seen like in passing like one or maybe two videos somebody had showed me. And it was just like, oh, one of them. Like just
you could sense it?
Yeah, it was just like
okay.
Oh, okay. Like, you know, I always look at it as like marketing. You know, you fit in your little, but where are you gonna be? Okay, right here. You're going towards these people. This is your target audience. Like, we are starting to be more business minded.
Right.
That's what people are forgetting to, like, a lot of people out here that are doing this stuff. It's a business for them. It's a business model. It's not a true calling. It's not something that they're really just sharing from their heart. It's a business model. You know what I mean? Like, and that's cool too. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to recognize it, because if not, it wouldn't fall in line with so much of what everyone else is doing. Or you know what I mean? Like there's guys that are doing this already. You know what I mean? How do y'all kind of have the exact same? If it was genuine, it would be a little bit different. There would be something, but it's all like this.
Seems like everybody's sharing notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a business best practice thing, you know. It's like if sycophantism was like, you know, and pandering was like an actual industry, like, you know, that would be like the best practice, like sharing of the best practice between them, because they literally all say the same exact thing. I think where Derek's advantage was, for example, especially since I think he was so like, I think his was less moderate than the other guys. His was so beyond the pale of like extreme and obviously, you know, like pathetic. It's like, oh, come on. Like, I remember I first saw him and I was, oh, come on. Y'all cannot possibly like fall for this. And actually, just a side note, maybe this is kind of going off on a tangent, but I spoke to a lot of sisters and they actually said, honestly, I knew he was faking from the jump. They said, it's just, he said what I like to hear and it just made me feel good. So there's also that.
Yeah, there's definitely
that's weird.
I mean, there's a thing about women like being lied to, you know what I mean? Or people, but you know what I mean? Just for the feeling, you know what I mean? Like that's another form of simping, but we won't have to go there. Like, you don't give up, you know he ain't, like, how can you take a message from someone you know is, you know what I mean? Like, that's like saying, I mean, I know he doesn't love me, but he said he loved me, so I just like
to. White baby as well.
Dwayne.
Somebody said he had a white baby.
I don't know about that.
Let me. I thought I heard it was this comedian. No, he was this comedian, and he was impersonating Derek Jackson, and he said, you know, even though people don't know I have a white baby by a white woman. And I was like, did that really happen? So I was asking y'all. I guess not. But anyway.
I heard he went Eric Benet, which, I mean, again, like my thing was, I knew he was full of it from day one because
bro.
I just see, you know, I've known enough scumbags in my life to know of how it is, you know what I'm saying? And I'll admit that at some point I was a simp in regards to like a sucker, because I think most boys are simps or suckers before their first heartbreak.
Yeah.
You automatically assume the best of people because you haven't dealt with the realities of the real world yet.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So once that happens, it's like, all right, hold up. So maybe these rappers maybe, I'm not gonna say bitches ain't shit, but it's kind of somewhere in between. Women are everything. It's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So that's where, you know, I feel like after their first heartbreak or their first disappointment or the first realization of what women can be, potentially become, that's when, you know, men decide to develop their character and their outlook on things.
Yeah.
And so with that, like, as a grown man talking about, you know, fellas, you know what was going on. You knew you were wrong. And it's almost as if he was talking to himself. And now, you know, he's over here talking in the third person, which a lot of, like,
I heard he was recording the videos outside of the side chicks' houses, man.
You know.
They got the houses in the background, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's hilarious, man.
I mean, that's why I said that's brilliant marketing. How do you flip this? I review the video like I've been doing, like, see what they're gonna do. Like, that's it. Like, his main job is just to keep your attention.
Definitely.
Because people will forget. You know what I mean? If enough people he stays up there and his name stays up there, he can build enough of a following of people who actually do believe and get something from whatever he says and be just fine. And this will be a distant memory.
Yeah, I think he'll still be fine.
Yeah.
It's like when people found out Drake wasn't writing his own rhymes, they was like, oh, they got over it a week later, he's still hot. I mean, they're like, oh, well, this still sound good. So it's like the same thing with this dude. It's like, oh, he doesn't mean it. Well, I still like what he's saying. So he'll be all right.
It's just like when guys find out. It's just like when you find out wrestling's fake. And it's just like,
I still
like
it.
You know. So moving on, because also in the flyer I had a picture of Sweetie and Quavo, who recently just broke up or whatever. And I try not to linger too much on celebrity stuff because we're adults here and we don't live in a fantasy world. But for context, apparently, I think Quavo spent about $10 million on this girl, like all together. Right?
You mean just like buying her stuff?
Yeah, like buying her stuff, buying her cars, and the whole gambit. But apparently, a video leaked of, I guess, them getting to an altercation, and not really altercation. I say that like altercation with quotes on the elevator. I think she took his game system or whatever it was in a suitcase and just threw it on the elevator. And he went to go get it, and then they kind of had like a situation when people were saying that he hit her, and he didn't really hit her. He kind of just pushed her away. I mean, if you ever, it wasn't a Ray Rice situation, and I'm not just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was just a matter of like, you're taking my stuff. Like, I want my stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it got blown out of proportion. But I think the whole concept is, people are saying like, well, no matter what you do, like a woman could always do X, Y, and Z. And yeah, that's the case. And I think that simps have a level of entitlement that they don't talk about. Because, they're doing things with the ultimate goal of the yams.
Yeah, they're the same ones that jump in your inbox, your DMs, whatever, direct messages with a few compliments or a few little da-da-da, and you just like, hey, thanks, whatever. Don't really go any further into the conversation. And then like after a couple more, then you like, bitch, stuck up, like, don't, like, what are you, sir? Come on now. Because you said something about tall women. I'm supposed to be impressed, and now I need to have a conversation with you.
You ain't that cute anyway.
Yeah.
Or, the comment like, hey, hi, hey, you. It's just like, it just goes from 0 to 100. It's just like, I meet pick. Like, there's no in between. There's no.
Yeah. And it's an entitlement. Like, just because you say hello doesn't mean I have to respond. Like,
right.
Listen. You know what I used to do when I was for the streets? I used to be DMing people. If they didn't like read the DM, all right, well, cool. As far as I'm concerned, it never happened because I'll delete it and they'll never know that I ever said anything. So it's like, fuck it, But these dudes, they really be like, I'm gonna wait for you to respond, or I'm gonna wait to see if you read this shit. And if you don't respond, I'm gonna cuss your ass out. They start to threaten,
Man, it's weird. It's crazy.
Start sending death threats and everything. I've seen this shit a couple times.
Yeah, I've actually had friends that niggas have like hit them up like for years at a time, just conversations by themselves, like just saying they're just talking to themselves, a whole conversation over the course of years. Stuff like that. And to the point I'm like, yo, just give me the phone. Let me say something. It's mad disrespectful. And like they still will, try to keep it going just for the off chance that they might accidentally land in the yams. And I think what that really boils down to is just, one, where is the standard? Where are the morals? Where are the code of ethics with these men? Like, damn.
So tell me a little bit more about that, about the code of ethics.
So no one taught anybody. No one taught.
Yeah.
No one taught y'all anything. Like, there is no code of ethics.
Okay.
Most young men learn theirs. If they had a father, they picked up from father, good or bad, or music or TV. If they didn't have whatever the next closest male, uncle, cousin, I don't know. But like, that's who you got your ethics from. And your code of ethics. And I mean, from just looking at my family, like, it probably wasn't the best one. Like, just be honest about it. Like, with the culture isn't ethics aren't, especially if you grow up, quote unquote, in the hood or in lower socioeconomic shit went down. You know what I mean? Like, so what are ethics? Like,
yeah, most definitely. I mean, I just, growing up and seeing how people were like best friends and how, your best friend will have a kid with your girl. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That I've seen happen firsthand. And it's just like, I don't get it. I've been in situations where I've been at parties this is another reason why, one of the many reasons why I left, like, the neighborhood I was in, is like I would go to a party, it'd be a house party, and it would be at this girl's house. She'd be hosting it, and everybody there, they were all Eskimo brothers. I'm like, do y'all niggas not know what happened between like everybody? Like, she been with everybody here.
Yeah.
Y'all over here in the circle passing a blunt, like, but again, I guess it's just ethics, things that, they're not taught. I mean, I would like to think it's common sense, but if you've never been exposed to it or brought up in that rationale, I mean, it's alien to you. Like, it's very foreign. So yeah, I think that, them undercutting people, I've oh man.
Brother, what do you think about this? Do you think, and I don't want to like take it back to like a Derek Jackson, but do you think that maybe he had a lack of ethics, as far as, as far as older brothers, kind of schooling him a little bit? I don't really know his backstory, but just based on the symptoms, what do you think?
Perhaps. Honestly, I think he's a predator. I think that he found a woman that was damaged, and he was with her because he knew that no matter what, she would take whatever he was dishing out. I also think that, at some point, the infatuation, whatever he may have had towards her, because I mean, she's not unattractive. She just has no swag whatsoever, but that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? So I just think at some point, he began to resent her, and, like all this public, cheating, being sloppy with cheating and stuff like that was just a means of torturing her because she won't leave. It's like, all right, so you won't leave? All right, great. I will just make this the most embarrassing situation ever. And I've heard someone say that this whole situation is the disrespect that he feels that she deserves. And I definitely think that. I think a lot of times with men, and I mean, I've never cheated before, like ever. I mean, I'm not much of a relationship nigga at that time either, but I just knew what I was getting to. I knew my lane. You know what I'm saying? If I was for the streets, I was like, totally committed. It was either or.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
When it came to acts of infidelity, or this, when niggas just try it. Niggas try it. People try it. People try, we try to test the limits to see where we can go. And if the woman doesn't put her foot down right away, we're just gonna keep going and keep pushing that level of disrespect until they want to stand up all of a sudden. It's just like, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've already drawn the line in the sand. I already see what, your limits are. So it's like, miss me with that. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times, like, if women, not to be all preachy and, whatever, but I think, and Ajaya, you can confirm or deny this revelation of mine. I feel like if women put their foot down at the first sign of disrespect or anything that, doesn't go with their program, that they're, one, save a lot of time, a lot of heartache. If they the first sign of a red flag, hold up. You do what? Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, just knowing their worth and not settling at all. If they put their foot down right away, that, a lot of these situations won't happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true, because I mean, whatever we accept is what men will continue to give. Like, that's just the name. I mean, that's just what it is. Like, if you accept the bare minimum, then why would you ever expect more? Like, you started there, so you know what I mean? Like, that's just not. But when you do that, they may not talk to you anymore, but that just lets you know that they weren't there for the right thing in the first place. So like, I struggle to understand why women even play around. When set your boundary, stick with it, and it'll literally keep you from going through all the shit you want to complain about and go find people like Derek Jackson or whatever to tell you about yourself for. Like, just get some boundaries and fucking say, nah, that's not cool. And put, like you said, put your foot down and be like, no, I'm not accepting that. And watch how fast things change. Like, watch how different, like, men are gonna have to approach you, come to you, step to you, talk to you. Like, it's just what it is. Like, you get what you demand. You get what, if you set the boundary, you set the thing, like, people rise to the shit.
Yeah.
Jai, I got a question. Um, so obviously these dudes, they're like, they're pandering obviously because they think this is what Black women think they need, right, in a man, right? So they're going to try to fit that mold, right? So I wanted to hear from you. This is what I'm asking you. As a Black woman, what would you say if you could diagnose it or whatever, are some like general character traits and personality traits and virtues that Black women in general need from Black men? Because clearly it's not simping, right? Because they wind up with egg on their face, like with Derek Jackson. So what is that standard that they should be going for?
I think the one thing that everybody can give that everybody is afraid of at the same time is just the truth. Be honest. Like that's really the basis of everything else. Because from there we can build what we agree to, what we don't agree to, but we can't build anything if we're not first honest with each other. Like, so if you gonna go and sleep with whoever and that's what, you know what I mean? Like, be honest with that. Accept yourself for who you are, because you can't be honest with someone else if you haven't been honest with yourself. So there's that part too. But like that's real. That's a big one. And the fact that, women do need to be able to be vulnerable. Women are, like soft, or at least have that side that needs to be catered to, that needs to be, because we do learn to be very hard to deal with patriarchy. Like it's a thing. Like it's not like, it's just not. I was like, the moment we step, hell, maybe in the house, but the moment we step out of the house, it's like you gotta have that armor on, like, you know what I mean? Like, so we learn also to be hard. So if that's not, if everything is always negative, we having to fight because of lying, because of this, because of that, she's only going to get harder. She's never going to be able to get, you know what I mean, to get soft. And for me, that's what men like. That, you know what I mean? They like the woman to be soft. You know what I mean? They like that type of interaction, the centralness, the nurturing. They like that aspect. But you have to provide the opposite to get that, to allow her to go there. And I think a lot of women are struggling, and a lot of women are turning to these male, whatever they are, gurus or relationship, whatever, because they haven't been allowed to be soft. They haven't experienced that from a male providing, that balance to them, having to deal with the world. So they're like, well, I made myself even with a man. Like I'm taken care of financially, da 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 da. So you know what I mean? Like, and that's why a lot of them end up with simps, because they fall for just, I know what you need, and I know this is going to make you feel good. I don't mean it, but you don't care that I don't mean it because it feels good. And then, 6 months later, I'm back listening to him. Niggas ain't shit. So, like, I think honesty and being that balance so that the woman can still be soft.
Absolutely. It's just so ironic because, like, I feel like he's made a career off of, embittering women even more and telling them not to put up with certain shit. And the woman that he chooses to wife and kind of bully and emotionally abuse happens to be a woman who puts up with everything. So to your point, Dwayne, that's like the predatory nature of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly he's, he sees some utility in engaging with like embittering women, but then the people that he unleashes that on, are the exact opposite. The women he tells those other women not to be like.
Maybe that's the kind of woman he secretly wants. Or that's like his dog whistle to that. Oh snap, we got some comments here. So Darian says, what's Kevin Samuel doing here? I'm guessing he's talking about me. I know his teammate from college football. They ain't like him because of his videos. Flash Taylor says Kevin Samuels is the truth. And Darian says, once the trust is broken, it takes a lot to get it back. Most definitely does. He also said on another note on Facebook, he wrote me saying that the biggest simp of all time is Superman.
Lois definitely did sleep with Bruce Wayne, so I'm not gonna hold you.
She's for the streets. She's for the streets. So I want to talk about the simple simp. The one that actually, the sucker, the one that actually believes the Kool-Aid, because there's two kinds of simps. One that drinks the Kool-Aid and one that sells it. You know, we've already so, you know, for those people, I'd like to think typically they're the ones that, you know, they're still young, they're still wet behind the ears, they haven't experienced heartbreak or seen any kind of fault.
They're still hopeful. They're still hopeful.
You know, and you see like, wow, they're so excited about life. They have no idea of the bullshit that's coming around the corner. My word of advice to them is just one, know your worth. Women are great. I'm not gonna hold you. They are great. Not all of them are great for you. I'll say that. It's politically correct thing to say. Not all of them are great for you. And you need to realize what is great for you. And that really comes from you learning yourself first. A lot of times, you know, not even a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, I would say that a lot of people get into relationships and stuff like that without any kind of knowledge of self whatsoever. You're not even sure what you like. You're not even sure, you know, the kind of person that you are. You don't even know the inner demons that someone can bring out of you until it's already happening.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you need to do a lot of soul searching before, you know, being with somebody on a serious scale. You know, I got a 12-year-old stepson, and he's talking about, oh, so-and-so was, you know, cheating on his boyfriend. I'm like, what? Like, cheating on what? Like, y'all look like little fuckers. Like, what do you mean? Like, it doesn't compute. But that whole culture is already starting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess on one end, I think that they do kind of mature faster, but you know, it all depends on like what kind of maturity we're talking about here.
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, they are maturing because they're exposed to it. They're not educated about it, so that's a different type. If they were educated about it, okay, well then you know they're educated about it, but they are just exposed to it, so they had to mature to understand a certain level, and a lot of them still don't understand shit about it, but they got a certain level of. We know something. We've been watching Real Housewives, Bad Girls Club with my mom because I wasn't watching it, but I was right there while she was watching it. You know what I mean? Like we've been watching whatever dad watches, whatever TV shows out is probably womanizing in it. People sleep. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's just you can just bet those things are just happening in TV shows because that's why people love TV shows and soap operas because of the drama. So like that's where they're getting their exposure from. No one's actually educating them on any of it. They're just seeing this and they're seeing that y'all like it and this is what's all, you know, these people are famous. So yeah, that's my girlfriend and she cheated on me and I'm gonna beat that bitch ass. And they don't even like, ain't nobody did nothing outside of school. Like what are we like? But
so Dwayne, right? So you mentioned you know, to an extent we're like the simple simp, right? The gullible one, the sucker, right? You know, and a lot of times, brothers, hopefully we ain't going down as bad as Forrest did, because he, you know, but like, you know, because
I would say that's the greatest simp of all time.
Absolutely. Gave him AIDS and he said, thank you. He was bugging for that shit.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah. But my point is, right? So like, but that's because you haven't gone into your first heartbreak, right? So I'm kind of like one of the best examples of that. So, but it's under slightly different, you know, pretenses. So like, for example, I grew up and a couple years ago, right? I asked my dad, I said, how did you know mom was your soulmate, right? And he said, you know, my dad was in the street at the time. And he said he saw her sitting underneath a tree in Calvert Park in Trenton, right? And he knew from the moment he saw her, when he was like 18 years old, she was like 17. I knew I wanted her to be my girlfriend, at least to start off, right? Now, that was like 40, 50 some odd years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, how the fuck could he possibly like this? Like when you're 17, you don't know shit. How could you possibly know that this is the person that you're going to be with for the next 5 decades? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy when you think about it. There's something could be that strong in you that you recognize that that's your future right in front of you. You just pursue it. Like, my mom was a bookworm. My dad was a drug dealer, right? So, like, me, when I'm young, right, and I'm watching my parents, like, in that type of home and you seeing them and you know that's their backstory, it gives you an unrealistic view of the world. You know what I'm saying? Because you begin to think, oh, if I see a girl and I think really strongly about her, then all I have to do is really do what I have to do as a guy and everything will work out. It's like, it gives you like a fairy tale view of the world. And so, let alone the fact that I'm a little bit stubborn. So, if things don't work out or I see a girl ain't shit, I won't, be willing to admit that to myself. So I keep on rationalizing, giving myself a reason to stay in the relationship, right? And it's the same thing happens with a lot of these simps as well. A lot of times it's not just because they haven't had, male guidance or anything like that. A lot of times it's because they've been spoiled by like, parents who have this like fairy tale marriage. Like one of my exes, she was exactly like that. That's why she always ran into so many L's. We didn't work out, not for those same reasons, but it's like a lot of people do that. But simps, I think it manifests in simps in different ways where they start getting overly, sycophantically agreeable to like even the most extreme. I don't know. But that's like I say to your point, Dwayne, I'm probably the best example of that shit because the same exact thing happened to me.
I would even say on the other side of the coin, there's people that have never seen a healthy relationship at all, and they're completely, opposed to any kind of, relationship, short term, long term, any term. They're just, like, look, let me get my nut and let me get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Let me skedaddle. That's kind of their mentality. So, I feel like, if you're, for the parents out there, if you are in a healthy relationship, you are, displaying that in front of, your kids, you need to let them know, like, look, this don't work for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
The exception to the rule. Absolutely.
Exception to the rule. Like, you're actually privileged to see this situation because a lot of times half of it don't work. We were able to, figure it out. And I would even go as far as to say, as far as your father, and I mean, even with me and my wife, like I knew like from day one. And you have that feeling, and that it manifests if you think and feel and believe into that hard enough, that'll happen. Also, it can also go awry because you keep wanting that person to be the one and they ain't the one.
Absolutely. So, try to force it. Yeah.
So that's that. But yeah, definitely like, look, Junior, this your mom is diamond in the rough. You holding shit. You need to focus on yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Meditate.
Then you have to teach them how to actually recognize what are the, what are the real signs? Do y'all have the same value system? Like the real stuff that actually helps stuff last, not just the, oh, my heart fluttered. You know what I mean? Or,
the fuzzy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like no one's talking to children about that. Like, so.
And if they are, they putting so much of like their own trauma behind it that it's like you're almost just trying to condition them. You know what I'm saying? It's like one extreme or the other.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't help, all this media, Disney, Nickelodeon, all these other things. It's just, trying to get these kids in the sack early and, clapping cheeks prematurely. I mean, I was at the summer camp and I was dealing with my age group I was dealing with was, I think, between 10 and 12-year-olds. This kid was like, man, I can't wait to get out of here and get some ass. I'm like, nigga, what?
It was how old?
Between 10 and 12.
Man, listen.
And, just, it's one thing, because I can't say that I don't know anyone that wasn't doing that around that time, during my age, but just to be so blatant about it, just so like, man, like, I don't know. It's just, it's crazy to me. And this was, how many years ago? This was at least, almost 20 years ago.
Oh shit! And just imagine how much worse it's got. I just stopped working with 6th graders before spring break, so like, no, like, no.
So, Ajaya, I actually wanted to get your opinion on the female simp, and is it the same equivalent? Does it have the same level of destruction and discord as the male simp, in your opinion?
So when I think of the female simp, that's just like, she's just thirsty for any little bit of attention, any little bit of anything. And she might even be outwardly, men ain't shit, blah, 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 but secretly, any attention that you're willing to give her, she's gonna take it. You know what I mean? Like, in the disrespect and all that stuff, whatever. Like, there's that. then I think the other simp is the ones that do, you know, the lashes and the fake butts and the this and that, because they think that's what these high end, what they call high value,
High value men, I think.
Sorry, no, but that's what they think these like celebrity type want, is that, you know what I mean? So like that's a type of like simp into like, and they, you know, the Cardi B, the Meg Stallion, the like that persona, you know what I mean, that energy. Cause yeah, but I mean, the first thing is you just gotta love yourself. Like that's the best way to not be a simp. And I can say like for a lot of women, self-love, loving yourself and accepting yourself and validating yourself is a big thing. So if you actually love and respect yourself, you don't tolerate disrespect. Yeah. It's really that simple. Like I don't disrespect myself, so I'm not gonna allow you to disrespect me and my boundaries and stuff like that. So if you're not willing to do that for yourself, then you're bound to be a simp. Like if you like, you're gonna let people continue to violate you in all types of different ways for what? Their attention, you know what I mean? To fill some void that you don't want to feel yourself.
Right.
I actually got a tough question right here. And I can't say that I ever actually really talked to somebody about this who's been in this situation, because they've always kind of been like a couple steps removed from my inner circle. But I do know people that have been in like abusive relationships. But at the first sign of physical abuse, if the woman was to walk away and stay away, I mean, do you think that would change things? That it would be less, what's the word I want to use?
From personal experience, yes. I lived in Dallas. I was living with the man. Did long distance for a while. Ended up moving down there, moved in. Had a little, he grabbed me by my hair and like pulled me down to the bed. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me get my shit, because I'm not about it. And that was, you know, like he stopped me for a while. You know, didn't think I was like seriously not going to, you know, nah, like I don't play those type of games. I don't know what kind of women you normally date, but like don't put your hands on me. Like I'm one of those people. My father never put his hands on me. So why the fuck would you? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, so I don't know. And I had to really ignore him and like not return any phone calls, but he went away. You know what I mean? Like it went away, but I did see how you could fall into the cycle, because what followed was him using everything that I might have ever told him or he might have figured out about me to try to make me insecure enough to come back, or to try to, you know what I mean? To try to dig at me enough to where I didn't feel strong enough to do anything without him, that he needed me, that, you know what I mean? Like like everything, to the fact that like, I was laughing. I was like, oh, he's going for the jugular on Facebook. Look, read this. Like me and my friends are like literally laughing at it, because like when I say stuff and I work through stuff, I let it go. It doesn't hit me there anymore. So like now I clearly see what you're trying to do. And we are over here laughing. He called us like lesbians. He went all the way in. I was like, oh, he is just going hard. But eventually emails was the only way he could get in contact with me. And I just didn't respond. And I mean, it took like 7 months. Like this is not like something where you could have a bad day and be feeling sad and they hit you up and you reply, because then they suck you right back in, because that's what they're good at. So, I mean, I'm not saying for everybody, it might upset them more, but usually they're going to move on and try to find someone, another victim. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to, now if you stay for a year or two, it probably will be a little bit like more violent getting out. But first, what? You brushed up against me too hard, nigga, bye. Like I don't play, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just a boundary that I have.
Right. Definitely glad that you were able to, see that. Were there any red flags before that incident when he did that?
Yes. There was like this subtle of any time that I would disagree with him, there was like a energy shift. It was like he would be like a little annoyed at first, like, but I got very extreme opinions. I'm bound to get on your nerves, so sooner or later, like shit. So I was just like not taking much of it. But once I was there in person all the time, he couldn't handle it. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't handle it because it didn't bother me. Like my energy wouldn't be like he would be pissy about something, and I'd still be like smiling and laughing and reading books and shit. And he hated that shit. But just that, like you feel weird about not agreeing or disagreeing or like having a different opinion. Something about that. What else? Shit. He used to get mad and hang up on me. And I would like, yeah. And I was just like, who's in the middle of a conversation? Like, what the, like, and my thing is like, I'm thinking like, you tripping. I'm calling back like, I know you about to answer the phone. Like, cause this is like some bullshit. Like, I know you like, oh, this is some bitch shit. Like, I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I'm not going to keep calling no more. But he would just see how long I would call, like, or how, you know what I mean? Like, or, the whole ghosting thing before ghosting was a thing. Like before everybody knew what it was, there would be like this like, but again, I was never bothered by it. So I didn't see them as red flags. I was just like, oh, well, shit, I don't feel like talking. And I would go on about my day rather than seeing the truth for what it was. He didn't have any friends. Like he really didn't have any real friends. He had associates through the Black Panther Party, through the Nation of the Gods and Islam, but he didn't have any like real friends. That's a flag. Like, yeah. And he didn't fuck with his parents.
He didn't really have anybody.
Yeah, he really didn't have
other than you.
Yeah.
And that's why he went so hard to get you back, out of fear of being alone and fear of not having control over somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Learning people's histories, like their true, what happened to them in their life and how they feel about it, will tell you a lot about what the fuck you're getting yourself into and getting in a relationship with them. If you actually take the time to get to know people and their history and what they've dealt with, you will know whether or not you want to get in a relationship with them. And like, I didn't really believe in that. I was like a here and the now in the moment type of person. But like now I'm like, no, I want to know. Like, I want to know those things because I need to see how, if you've done the work to overcome those things, or am I seeing that reflecting in your behavior now? You know what I mean? Like, I need to know. And it's not like I'm going to be like, when did this happen? When did this happen? But I'm going to take the time to actually get to know you, how that would normally happen if it was, if you want to say friends first, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, I don't know enough about you. You know what I mean? Like, we could do fun stuff while we figure it out, but yeah, learn that shit. Like,
yeah, most definitely. I definitely agree with that. I forgot what book I read. I don't think it was The Way of the Superior Man, which is a really good book, but it was something else. I forgot what the book was, but it's about like, men being better, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I believe they were talking about the simp is basically, or the beta male, that's what they called it at that point, was just someone that can't get women on their own merit. And so in order to get women, they dirty Mac, or they put other men under the bus to make them to make them look better. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought that like good, solid people don't need any promotion. If you're a good person, you know that. Like spinach doesn't say, well, real spinach. When you go to the produce aisle, you see spinach. It doesn't say like, all these vitamins, stuff like that. It's just spinach, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And so like when you see certain things, it's like, this enriched with whatever, that's kind of like what it looks like for like a simp, or just someone that may be a potential abuser. But I do feel like a lot of simps are abusers as well. I think that's like that's what they moonlight as, is the abusers and stuff like that. And because this whole simp thing, women can do no wrong, stuff like that, that makes women that feel wrong feel more powerful when they're really just, responding to them, throwing out that dog whistle for the weak women or the battered women or the women that are unhealed. Mm-hmm. Whatever is least offensive to you, that's what you're going to go with. So, you know what I'm saying? So once that goes out there and then they come in and they respond like, wow, that was so beautiful. It's like, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Then, at that point, it's hook, line, and sinker. So I definitely think that that's simps are basically like they're predators.
Because listen, you have women calling in. So I seen, was it Kevin Samuels calling in for him to dog you? You picked up your phone, you got on Instagram, however they do it, and try to prove to this man that you do not know, that you don't know shit about him and who he really is, trying to prove to him that you deserve a man based on how much money he, like, y'all deserve each other, actually. That's why I didn't even care, because I was like, y'all done for calling him and he out of his mind for targeting y'all, but everybody making a living is whatever. But yeah, like, who is calling in for that? Like, that tells you a lot right there. Like,
yeah, most definitely. I mean, I have seen like some clips where he was actually like, helping somebody get through some things. So I don't think it's all just like, a bash-a-thon per se. But the ones that go viral are ones that go viral.
Yeah, it's the bash-a-thons.
Yeah. Mm. It's like, what makes you think that you deserve happiness? How many kids you got? You're how old? Let me tell you, on your 30th birthday, that's when you became not shit. That's when you forfeited your right to happiness. And each year you become less and less happy because like that's
he be grinding into them. I'm like, God damn, you know what I mean? Like, damn, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I mean, the truth is a lot of these women be delirious.
Yeah.
On some real shit too, though. Like, I mean, you calling into the show, you already delirious, so you gonna get what you get. But like, I guess he's the message that they need, the lesson that they need to learn or something, because
he's necessary evil.
Yeah, because they love it. I've had 3 conversations about, because I don't keep up with nothing, I don't watch nothing. Every now and then someone will be like, well, I seen somebody said this, and they'll want to talk about it with me, like a friend or family member or whatever. And I'm like, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, I guess there's a point in there, yeah, but by the way that some of them even talk about women. So for me, for them to, and this might be true for the average woman or women that are not doing their healing process. But for me, if a man is always talking about a woman in respects to how she is, like her reproduction, her age, whether or not she has children or not, which is a factor in you building your life. So if that's not what you want, if you don't want a woman with children, then that's a factor for you. But the value of a woman is not actually predicated on those things. If you know the true value of a woman and what a woman can bring into your life, it's not predicated on any of those things. But if you're just thinking, I need babies and somebody to be at home or take care of this and this and that, well, yeah, you want to go, younger, whatever, this and that. But if you're actually looking for the qualities of and it can happen at any age, but a woman that is truly in tune with herself and a woman that is doing her healing and will be able to actually take care of your children and instill the right things and the right energy, then it's not predicated on any of the things that he's talking about that is attaining to a woman's value. Mm-hmm. So like right there, I'm like, okay, he's bullshit to me, but I can't speak for nobody else's life. But for me, I don't have to listen anymore because this doesn't apply to what I see when I think value. So.
Right. And yeah, I've also seen him talk to men also. I think he called somebody a fat fucker at one point,
He said what?
He called somebody a fat fucker. He was like, how tall? He was like, I think it's like 5'8" or something like that. And he was just like, and he's like 200 something pounds. Oh, so you a fat fucker. Okay.
They get them insults in.
Yeah.
So he's just an overall asshole.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say this, that when it comes to constructive criticism with men. We don't need to be coddled. It needs to be, straight up, you know what I'm saying? Like tough love, if you will. But, with women, it's just like, I don't know. I try not to give advice to women because, and also I feel like it's not going to be well received from me anyway, which is why I have women friends. I have a wife. I have people that can talk to women on my behalf. Like, you know what? I've been thinking this. Does this make sense? It does make sense. Okay, well, spread the word because they ain't trying to hear it from me.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's basically like, what aunts and uncles do. They say the same thing that your parents say to you in a less authoritative tone. Yeah. And it's like, you know what? That's some good game, huh? All right.
Meanwhile, the substance is the same.
Yeah.
The substance is the same. It's just, it got a little different twang on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to get to the final point here. We did a lot of talking about Simps and how it's ruining the community. What can we do to stop the simpery and this dancery? What can we do? Ajaya, you can go first.
All right, what can we do to stop the simp? I think the biggest thing that we can do is learn some sexual discipline, because that is what everybody is simping for.
Yes.
If we're going to go from the male side, sexual discipline would definitely go a long way in keeping men from simping, because honestly, that's what they're simping for at the end of the day. Like, so there's that. And if we want to go on the women's side, just, some love, some good old fashioned, like, your life is not dependent on whether you find a man or not. Love, you to shit, you to bomb, regardless, because then you're just going to attract that to yourself. So it really works that way. But yeah, just not having, just having some confidence in yourself and your life and your purpose outside of your relationship to a man. Yeah. I think that's what we can do about the simp situation. But sexual discipline is like way up there for men. Like, this might be a eradication overnight. If there was sexual discipline, we might see the simp just fall off the map.
Braxton.
What I think would eliminate the simp, I think one thing guys have to see is that it's much more profitable. I don't want to say profitable, but just beneficial, right, to their overall character. If they take the opposite approach of a simp, but not, because a lot of times people think that you're either a simp, and if you're not going to be a simp, you got to be one of these like extreme meninist type, whichever that's just like they've just lived to fight with women.
Did you say meninist?
That's what they call it. They call it meninist, right? Yep. That's the thing. That's the thing, right? And it's like these two extremes all the time, and like these guys, they just want to pick fights with girls all the time, which kind of makes me wonder, right? So it's like, I think what we have to show is like the benefit to us, like it gives us a little bit more peace of mind, as well as our like interactions with women. They're just more pleasant when we take a more balanced approach, right? By acknowledging, listen, men ain't shit, but you know what? Neither is women. So we all fucked up. So let's try to find, the best in each other. That kind of mentality, it'll help out. I think that's a lot more of a moderate and balanced approach than taking these extremes that we keep doing. I think this is in part to do with social media, right? Because on social media, the extremes, they always are the ones that get the most clicks and the most views and stuff like that. And we are living in a social media age, but maybe another way we can get off this simp shit just a little bit or wean ourselves off it is if we do less social media as well. That is the engine, with which we, convey all this simpery,
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of y'all. My first episode actually was about dick discipline. I said that it could almost single-handedly save the Black community, and it definitely can. By being ruled by your, I heard somebody say, I think it was a comedian named Jeff Brown. He said, your dick cannot be the general manager of your team. It cannot. It cannot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like men go through that. All the decisions that they make is from their member. And it's just like, bro, at some point or another, because the niggas are like probably one of the worst decision makers there is. If you think about when you were, I want to say like first hitting puberty, you would just have spontaneous erections out of nowhere. That's the same decision maker that you're trying to like, lead your life with. You were scared to like, it was time to stand up and say the pledge. Just like, I can't really stand up right now because, might put an eye out. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the person making the decision for you. Like, we need to have self-autonomy and not let our joint control us. Right. That's one of the biggest things. Having self-value, that goes hand in hand, because if you have self-value, you'll realize that you cannot be ruled by your lower nature. It's counterintuitive to anything. And realize that you're not just getting yams, you're giving, what's a nice way of saying it? You're giving dick. You know what I'm saying? You're bestowing this onto somebody. You know what I'm saying? This is just for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
You out here bestowing.
And when you look at it like that, perhaps maybe you'll lay it a little better so these women will stop complaining about bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you have like value in that, value in your swordsmanship, if you will, value in who you are, you know what I'm saying? Like it all ties in together, but it's really just all in having value in yourself. The only high value man is the one that values himself highly.
Man. High five on that one. I just high fived you if you caught that.
I think they got an emoji on Zoom for that shit. Anyway, if people want to find you, Ajaya, where can they find you at?
www.ajayadivine.com. Instagram. I'm still active on Instagram, but mostly my website and Instagram. So stick there. I do have a podcast. If you want to go check the last 2 seasons out, Infinite Beings Unite on
my girlfriend
Spotify. Yeah, I seen her name down there. I was like, oh, okay.
Are you just gonna ask me the same question, bro?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot what I changed my name again on Instagram. You can find me on IG at The Realer Braxton. Yeah, at The Realer Braxton. TheRealBraxton. The Realer Braxton. The Real Braxton's taken.
And you can find me where you found me at. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, slander. It is what it is. Whatever you do, don't be a simp. Thank y'all for your time. We out.